Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Discussion where we talk about car culture, we talk about being a mechanic, really anything in the automotive industry. A few months ago we made a video and it talked all about the struggles of owning your own automotive repair business in any capacity, really. We talked about a lot of things. You're now the parts runner, you're now the service advisor, you're the manager, you're responsible for everything. But I really do think the benefits outweigh the negatives when getting into this business. Now, I started out at the Toyota dealership. I was a technician at Toyota for about 6 years. I spent 2 years in the quick lube while I was in school, and it's a great way to get all of your certifications taken care of, all of your ASEs, all of that kind of good stuff, and just to build some experience. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you come right out of tech school and think you're going to open a shop, you're sadly mistaken. Not only do you not have the knowledge base to be able to do that, you also don't have all the tools and equipment. And while your job is to be a mechanic, a lot of times you get to observe what the service writers do, what the parts guys do. All of that stuff is going to build your experience. So what are the top 5 things that I think make this worthwhile? And the first is going to be super obvious. I mean, you're going to set your own schedule, right? So if you want to wake up at 5 a.m. and start working, you got work to do, you can do that. You can also close the doors and then work until midnight if you really wanted to. And now it's not going to work that way all the time. You're going to work when the work is there, and you're going to have to do things. It's Saturday right now, and I went out to the salvage yard to pull parts for a customer on a car that I have to do next week. So you're going to be working, whenever you have to. But in that sense, that's going to be my first thing, is you get to set your own schedule, and you can turn work away. I think people forget that when you're in this industry, if you're at the dealership, if the advisor writes it up, you have to work on it. I don't care if the customer's being ridiculous or there's really nothing wrong, you're chasing warranty work, all of that kind of stuff. You as the technician really don't have much of a say. And I'm not saying that you should turn work down because you wouldn't have a business, but if a customer is really difficult, you can note that in your brain and be like, hey, I'm not going to work with this person. I'm not going to deal with this person again, right? And so don't ever be afraid to utilize your flexibility of being your own boss in that sense, and it's a really hard thing to learn, but you have to stick up for yourself, especially when you're starting out, because people are going to take advantage of you. That's just the way the world works. So there's some things to watch out for, but having a flexible schedule is going to be the number one thing on my list. The second thing on my list, and probably the thing that I enjoy the most, is that you can dabble in a lot of other stuff, right? I'll drop a picture in here, but you can really be versatile in the automotive business when you run your own shop. There's certain things when you're working at a dealer or for an independent, that you're not going to be able to do. I got to do a little bit of fabrication last week, and this is actually an intake piece for a VR6 swap Civic. So you can pick and choose if you want to do this kind of stuff and make money off of it. Another thing I really like to do is details. Not only do I find them relaxing, I like the tools and equipment that I have to buy because, you're constantly upgrading and adding things to your arsenal. I've always liked doing details, helps keep me busy. That's not something you're going to do if you're a technician at a dealership, at an independent shop. You're probably not going to do that. And, I dabble in a little bit of bodywork. So all those things add a little bit of versatility to your job. They add variety to your day. And it's fun to learn and dabble in other things that you might not get to do if you work at a shop under somebody else or at a dealership. Third thing on my list, and this kind of goes into if you're a mechanic at an independent shop as well, but you don't have to worry about the warranty work and recalls that you would at a dealership. And yes, you get paid for those things, but a lot of times, and I don't blame the customers for this, but they'll buy a brand new car that's under warranty and it's different than what they drove before, or they think there's an issue with it and there's not. You have no idea how many times over the 6 years I was a main shop technician at Toyota that you would waste your time chasing ghost issues because they're under warranty on a new car. So if a customer comes in with a newer car and it's under warranty and you have to look at it, you spend time test driving it, you take the customer with you, you talk to the customer, you spend all this time and there really is no issue, you don't get paid because it's under warranty. And that's something you're going to avoid if you work as an independent technician or your own boss running your own shop. You're not going to have to deal with that. On the flip side, you're going to work on a lot of old rusty cars because those are the ones that go to independent shops, I'm not saying that junk doesn't ever show up at the dealer, but it is much more common when you're working on your own for you to work on old rust buckets because a lot of times that's where those kind of cars go. They find an independent technician or a smaller business where the price isn't going to be as crazy as bringing that car to the dealer. Fourth thing on my list is going to be you don't have to work weekends. Now, this kind of goes back to the first thing on my list, which was setting your own schedule, but almost all car dealerships, you work Saturdays. You might not work every Saturday, but you're going to probably end up working at least one Saturday a month. Some people work every other Saturday. I've known techs at dealers that work every Saturday, and it just really gets in the way of life. It's when I was at Toyota, I worked every third Saturday, and this last summer, I'm at the age where a lot of people are getting married. every single Saturday that I was supposed to work, I was in a wedding. And that used to always just make a mess. If you wanted to do something on a Saturday where you worked, you ended up trading Saturdays with somebody else at the shop, and then, you know, you had to move things around. So setting your own schedule, but knowing that you don't have to work on Saturdays is a tremendous feeling. Personally, it's taken a lot of stress out of my life. You don't seem recharged. If you have to work Monday through Saturday and then you get Sunday off and you're back Monday, you just kind of feel like you're in a slump. And so that's going to be the fourth thing on my list, is no mandatory weekends. Fifth thing on my list, some people might see as an inconvenience, but I personally like it. I get kind of tool crazy. I love having my own tools, you know. I never went really crazy on the tool truck because I also don't like debt, so I would save up for something. I have a really nice Mac air hammer, and I saved up the $550 so I could just pay it off all at once. Didn't like payments, so I never really got tool truck crazy, but when you work at the dealership, there's a lot of specialty equipment, you know, scan tools, lifts, all of this kind of stuff, parts washers that you don't personally own yourself. You have your box, which most of us have invested tens of thousands of dollars into the tools we have in that box. When you go out on your own, you're going to realize very, very quickly how much equipment you don't have. And while this can be stressful, it also makes you acquire that equipment, right? So I got a lift in my garage, and I've slowly been adding things that I need to do my job, you know, more efficiently. And eventually that's going to equip you super well to do jobs more efficiently. It's going to let you work on a wider variety of cars and ultimately make more money, right? So it is an inconvenience because you have to pay for these things as you go, but you're going to kind of see what you need and you don't need and what you can get away with, and you can pick the brand and the style of the equipment that you want. And for me personally, I love that because now all of my equipment, my lift, my tools, that's all mine, so I can use it whenever I want. I don't have to be actively working necessarily to be able to use some of this stuff. You know, if I want to tinker on a buddy's car, I can throw it up on my lift. I don't have to like work around being employed somewhere, asking permission, all of this kind of stuff. So again, it is an inconvenience because you're going to spend a lot of money to get this going. Having all this stuff and constantly adding to your arsenal is just slowly going to allow you to make more money and to make more money easier. So you guys, that is what I had for you for this week's weekly discussion. I wanted to talk a little bit more about owning your own shop, starting your own automotive business. I think honestly, the schedule and being able to be versatile and dabble in a lot of other stuff is what I have enjoyed the most. You know, when you're constantly doing mechanical repairs, you can get burnt out really quick. So now that I get to mix in a little body work, I get to mix in my detailing, I get to mix in the mechanical repairs, you get more of a sense of variety, and it's a lot easier to avoid that burnout that you get sometimes when you're working as an automotive technician. I always feel like I have something different coming in the door, you know, whether it's making parts, putting on performance parts, painting and powder coating small things. All of this stuff just gives variety to the automotive industry in general. And there is so many things you can do as a mechanic that don't directly relate to OEM repairs that when you run your own business, you can start dabbling in this kind of stuff. When I do details, I just crank up the tunes and I get cleaning. And that in itself, I love doing details because it's very satisfying work. Someone brings you a car that's absolutely just roached out and disgusting. You know, you get to see a direct result of the work that you did. You know, sometimes you might spend 5 hours putting a steering gear in something, and you know, it feels good when you're done and you got the car back on the road, you take it for that test drive. It's the same feeling, but when you do details, you can kind of visualize it. So I think the biggest thing for me is just being able to dabble in a lot of other things in the automotive industry, running my own shop. So you guys, that is what I had for you for this week's weekly discussion. Drop me a comment down below if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe if you have not already, and we'll see you next time.